So welcome you guys. It's Thursday night. Yay! Um, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Chloe Ballatori. I'm a relationship and communication expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's One Institute. I work with men, I work with women, I work with couples, I work with teenagers. I've been doing this work for about 12 years now. And I'm also myself over 20 years married. So everything that I'm going to be teaching you guys tonight is in addition to being backed by proven and established psychological and scientific principles. I have also done myself, not to mention I've worked with probably thousands of people at this point. So, I think that's cool because, you want to believe that the person telling you things has the integrity to have done the work themselves as well. And I keep doing this work. This work brings about changes in your life, in my life, and others' lives that I've really never seen before from traditional emotive therapy or really any modality. You can get there, you can make some improvements with yoga and sound baths and emotive therapy where you talk and your feelings are reflected back to you, which is nice. But this work is a little more transformational. This work will actually change your life if you engage with it. And so that's why I love it because I'm very into results. It's very action oriented. And I'm going to start with just an introduction of the principles that this work is based on. That, again, is not technically my work, but the tools to execute on those principles, those are the things that are really unique and innovative. So I'll give a brief introduction of the, s- the science behind it. But then we're going to spend most of the time working with your questions. That's what I like to do the most. And if you don't understand things at first, don't worry. Um, when I first learned this work, I didn't really understand it either, but I saw an incredible result in a friend of mine. And so I was intrigued enough by that to want to check it out. And she went from really being of struggling single mom to getting married. She got very rich. I mean, it was a really big transformation in the space of about 3 years. And so I thought, I want to check out what she's doing. Um, and here we are. So my specialty is relationships and dating, but this work also radiates because it's based on principles of truth. This work will radiate out through all of your life. Um, and will and you will be able to see changes throughout all of your life. So even if you're just working on one thing, you if you work that very assiduously and honestly, you will see results in other areas of your life. And so I think that's really nice as well because it's kind of like fixing the problem at the mouth of the river instead of like further down like a tributary, right? So you have a more global effect for the effort that you're putting in. Um, okay. When we talk about relationships and especially successful relationships, what we're talking about is balancing the energy. Okay. I call my program Chloe's Consciousness Training because consciousness, as defined by Carl Jung, is the balance of masculine and feminine energy. I'll sometimes use masculine and feminine, and sometimes I'll use yin and yang, yin being feminine, yang being masculine. Obviously, that philosophy is thousands of years old. It's attributed to the Chinese, but it might not. It might not be solely wholly theirs. Um, but we also have more recent studies in biology that have proven that all of us have brains that have two hemispheres, right? We have the right hemisphere of our brain, which is the yin side, which is feminine, the world of feelings, passive, patient, vulnerable, the world of receiving, sensuality, creativity, sexuality, magic. Um, Yin energy is in the world to make it fun, but it's not of the world. A good metaphor for yin energy is flowers. Their yin energy is beautiful because it exists. Okay. And all of us have that left brain, which is that single mindedness, the world of thoughts, competitive, conquering, controlling, giving, taking care of, nurturing. Most of us are in our left brain or yang masculine side when we're at work because it's all about, getting ahead and showing what we can do and presenting that, our achievements. Okay. All of us are both, all of us have a unique balance within ourselves of these two energies. And when we're balanced, that is really when we're coming from the healthiest place and the place where we can make the best decisions. Now, the same is true of relationships. The most successful relationships are balanced between yin and yang, or masculine and feminine energy. Two yang energy people creates a power struggle. Two yin or feminine energy people creates a competition for sympathy. Okay. And so again, what we're looking for is balance. You don't have to do that all the time, but these tools work very well with awkward situations like first dates and conflicts and resolving conflicts. So it's important that you understand where you are and which energy is authentic to you in any given moment. And sometimes that will change over time. It may change in relation to different people. It may change as we get older. Certainly, we have changes in hormones around 45 or 50, where women lose estrogen and become slightly more masculine, and men lose testosterone and become slightly more feminine. Okay. So those things have to be adjusted for as well. If you think that you have a very strong feminine side and a very strong masculine side, that means that you are probably what is known as an alpha. Alphas aren't really, it's a kind of a misunderstood term. Alphas aren't bullies. They're not just that masculine bully, right? Alphas have that balance in energy so that they know which side to lead with that will help them achieve what they want. This work is about getting what you want. Now, what happens when we have childhood trauma is we're thrown off our authentic balance. Okay. And that means we enter a state which is known as ego dystonia. And basically, what that means is you use your feminine side when it would behoove you to use your masculine side, and you use your masculine side when it would behoove you to use your feminine side. And thereby you are sabotaging your adult relationships. We come up with this strategy, again, as the result of childhood trauma, whether it be trauma with a small t or trauma with a big T. We get separated from our authentic selves as children because human children are very dependent. Okay. And so we need to sacrifice our authenticity to attach to the people who run the refrigerator in order to survive. Without that, we may not be able to survive. Now, the problem occurs when we try to take those same strategies, which we believe as children are existential truths, and bring them into our adult lives and relationships, thereby recreating scenarios from childhood that hurt us and were ultimately unsuccessful. Okay. And so that's what I help people really understand and shed light on is, where are you sabotaging yourself? Where are you out of balance? And how can we bring you into balance so that you are attracting, and not just attracting, but selecting, choosing a partner that will bring out the best in you. Okay. So it's important to understand this in regard to this work. It's important to understand where you are and what you want. Okay. Everybody wants both. But if you want your feelings cherished, that's the feminine energy. If you want your thoughts respected, that's the masculine energy. So often I'll ask people which one is more important to you in a fight, in an awkward situation, in your personal life. All of us are pretty much in our gang at work, like I said. Want our thoughts respected. Um, but we live in a very masculinized world, and a lot of times women, I know when I found this work, I didn't even I wasn't really in touch with my feelings at all. I was all about just achieving things. And I didn't even give that feminine side of of myself, my personality, any airtime whatsoever. And it was making me very, very unhappy because ultimately I discovered that I'm authentically a feminine energy person in my personal life, in my relationships. Usually it does fall along gender lines, not always. And it may not always for every relationship. I'd say like 25% of the time it doesn't work that way. I have many clients that I work with who are in relationships, feminine man, masculine women, and it works very well because again what you're looking for is balance. And so that's why this work also translates for gay relationships as well, because even in a gay or homosexual relation, you still have a top and a bottom, a butch and a femme. Okay. I use masculine, feminine, man and woman sometimes to just to for the ease of the language, but understand that is still including gay people. Okay. So that's basically my spiel. You guys can really ask me anything about dating, relationships, communication, conflict resolution, problems with family, problems with career. That's when you're really going to see what these tools mean and how they work. And then when you take some of the homework that I give you into your life and try to execute on this scholarship, you will experience it at another level. And that part's really exciting because you often see results very quickly, especially in the beginning. It's kind of like the secret sauce. It will give you an edge, as long as that edge is used for good and used for love. I'm all fine with it. If I do find out, and it's happened occasionally, that you're using these tools to hurt other people, um, or in a very negative way to exploit other people, then I won't work with you. I don't care how much money that you will give me. So that's just a warning. Put that out there. But most of the time, people, you know, people have used this work that I've worked with for good and for finding love. And so I'm all for that. Okay. I also love to hear your updates because this is part of a community that I've been building on Meetup for the last couple of years. And when you update us and let us know how you've used the tools and what you've done in the field of your life, we get to learn more and you get to learn more, right? And it's also nice to have this group as a place to check in over time, it sort of begins to feel like a family. When I started this work, I started out in a group and I remember thinking, God, I have nothing in common with these people. My group was in person and it was all women and it wasn't free. But then the second that somebody would open their mouth, it would feel like my sister. I would find that I had so much in common um, with other people and with other people's struggles. And so that is also just in and of itself a comforting thought, um, and feeling, both. But we're going to do a lot of work tonight distinguishing between thoughts and feelings. One of the things that I think gets us into trouble often in our relationships is, and I especially have seen this lately, is people expressing their quote truth, but then saying a judgment about somebody else. If you're expressing your truth or you're expressing your feelings, usually if you're expressing feelings, it's one word. It's not, a feeling is not, I feel like you're a jerk. Okay. A feeling is, I feel sad. I feel angry. I feel insecure. I feel confused. They're usually one words. And sometimes, I'll work with women who, like myself, didn't really have a lot of experience examining their feelings. Um, and we'll make a list of what possible feelings are, just because it can be hard to get out of that judgmental thinking based modality because we live in such a masculinized world. That's one of the reasons we fail to cherish our environment. Okay, so I want to hear your updates. I want to hear your questions. You can put something in the chat. You can raise your hand. Hi, Lee.
Hey there, Chloe.
How's it going? How are you?
There, good, thank you. Good. I just wanted to thank you again for this great meetup and to ask you a couple questions.
Okay, shoot.
So, you know how the tools you've shared with us, how you have suggested that we plan ourselves somewhere once, is it once a week
For the
or
flirting? Yeah.
the flirting? Okay, so my question is, what if there's an event that only meets once a month as opposed to weekly? Um, is that going to, I mean, I feel like that might slow things down a little bit, and I may have to think a little faster if I'm going to a monthly event and I see the same person again, over time, over a longer
Yeah,
period of
it
time.
is that is definitely a slower buildup.
Okay, it still can work though, yes? I mean, you still think,
Yeah,
is
of
that
course. Yeah, of course. Um, it's just that's only once a month. So if you're just counting on that, I mean, if that feels right for you and that's the pace that you want to go at, that's fine. But you could still do other flirts on the other weeks, you know what I'm saying?
absolutely? And I am, and
Okay.
I'm talking to a couple of people here and there, and that's been nice. But I have another question about your thoughts on ex girlfriends or ex partners, your former relationship, and whether or not you should reach out to them when you start to miss the person. I have been, you may remember back Christmas to Valentine's for a couple of months. I had my first, I guess, steady girlfriend,
Right.
and and there was I took your advice on um the fact that I was only seeing this person once every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I had suggested maybe we should see other people, and if that's how often I get to see you, and she agreed. She didn't feel like she was able to do her thing, but it's been a few months, and I have been thinking about her. I miss her. I wish, and I'm wondering if it's acceptable to reach out and check on her, say hi. I was thinking about you, or should I just let that go? I mean, should I?
Right. Okay.
Uh,
So a couple things. So, what a lot of times we can miss somebody, but that doesn't mean that we want to be back in a relationship with them,
mhm, yeah,
you know. And of course, there's going to be things to miss because otherwise you wouldn't have been there in the first place.
yeah.
But I
I was,
remember with her that, and I just want to reflect this back to you because it sounds like you're thinking about it a little bit through rosy glasses, rose-colored lenses. You didn't like it not just because you didn't get to see her very much, but you also didn't like it because she took a long time, like she'd be an hour late.
yeah, several times her time management
Right.
she was improving with that. She did, the glimmer was that she was improving and she was conscious of it. We communicated very well, but there was also like punches in the gut. Sometimes there was a verbal abuse, or
Right. That was
I
one.
don't know if it was a little like, and she wasn't very proactive. It was very hard to get her out to go do things. And
Right.
so there were some red flags that were tough, but you know, I guess I'm missing the good. You're right about the rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
I'm definitely missing what I liked about the relationship.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I
no relationship is perfect. And that's kind of, the nature of duality. That's the nature of the yin yang. There for every victory, there's a shadow. For every catastrophe, there's a silver lining. Everything on earth, there's night and day, there's black and white. I mean, everything is organized, right, around duality and the shades of gray in between. And that's what the yin yang symbol is meant to connote with that swoosh line. Um, so, I understand that you miss her. I also think that she wasn't able to be present in the relationship in the way that was sustainable for you. And I'm not saying that because that's my judgment, but
right,
because that's what you said to me at the time. I'm just reflecting back to you. Look, even if I
absolutely.
didn't think it was a good idea, if even if I thought it was a good idea, if I didn't think it was a good idea, I really usually don't put my opinion into the scenario. I just use the tools and the rubric and what you say to flesh the communication and to understand what the dynamics are. So to me, it sounds like you're missing having someone to do stuff with. You're missing the good times with this girl. Just understand that those good times come with those bad times as well. So if you want to reach out to her, you can. She was very angry also when you broke up with her. And I remember that you weren't happy with the things that she said and they were disrespectful. So you might get a torrent of that as well. I would just be cognizant of what you want to accomplish by reaching out to her. What do you want
That's
from
a
that?
great question. That is a great question.
And if there's a reason to oh, well, I want to reach out to her because she told me about a yoga class that or whatever, that okay, maybe that would make sense. But to just reach out to her and kind of like put a feeler out there isn't I, look, you've been doing this work, you've been in this group since the beginning, I think. So to change is it takes a lot of work and it's a painful process, even change for the better. It's also very obvious when somebody is changing. And so sometimes people think, well, let me just reach out and see if she's changed. If she had changed, you probably would have heard from her. Something probably would have happened. Okay.
Right.
But we got to assume that she's basically doing her same deal, right? People are patterns. So she's probably still in her same pattern.
That's very possible. And I just wrote it. Thank you. That is I'm going to process on that. And I did read Sandy's comment. Do I miss her or someone to do things with?
Right.
I definitely missed her. I miss her.
Right.
I have plenty of friends to go do things with. I'm very blessed. I have a good social circle of friends.
And that's
But I,
the upside of being single.
yes,
Single people have more friends.
and but at the same time I was missing things about her, that it was her that I specifically, there were characteristics that I really cherished uh, about her.
Did you say it's
And
been 8 weeks or longer?
it's been since Valentine's Day.
Okay.
So
October,
that's four
February,
months.
4 months. Okay. So it's been long.
That's longer than the time we
Right.
dated.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you just got to figure it out for yourself. If you want to reach out and for the whole package and you've changed your mind and you're willing to go with it, regardless of the waiting an hour for her to get ready in the car, regardless of her outbursts, regardless of only being able to see her every 2 weeks, then do it. I don't sense that that's where you're coming from. And I just want to say that it's unlikely that she's changed.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you on that.
Okay.
That's a that's a good rationale, and um, you're right. I think she would have reached out by now if she, you know,
Yeah.
uh, I was talking with a friend of mine at karaoke last night about it and how you know, something was learned. You definitely, something really good came out of that. And look at, it's like how, you know,
It was really good practice for you.
it was a very good demonstration that I can attract a very attractive woman who has a lot of comparable features that are, the chemistry was great, the banter was great. I mean, it just, and so that gave me, I guess I needed that, the
Yeah.
universe showed me
Yeah.
that.
And every relationship, look, no relationships last forever. They all end in divorce or death.
Right.
So
That's,
relationships can be varying lengths. This one was
it is.
on the short side. The first 3 months is the perfect period. If you can't get through the first 3 months, then
Yes,
it
right.
doesn't have a great prognosis.
Yeah, we made it 2 months and if I had been, I don't know, I
Less picky.
probably could have made it another month if I had been,
But
a
that's
little more
something that
patient.
I
But I
do
was
want.
already, I
I
was
want
already
you.
patient, so
Well,
sorry.
that's something I want you to recognize and other people to recognize as well, is that, a lot of times we think, "Ah, no one likes us, we're single, God, this sucks." But the truth is, especially with you, we've discovered that you're really picky. So you can't fall back on that little sad sack thing anymore. You know, the truth is you attract a lot of women and you're picky, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I
Well,
just don't
most
want
of
you to
the
sell yourself the story that, you know, you're just this loser who can't find anyone.
I'm not going there at all. All I'm
Right.
saying is I may be selective,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I'm very accepting if there's chemistry. I want to explore any dynamic, it's
Yeah.
because I'll just tell you, people say, why are you still single and never got married? And my answer unequivocally every time I'm asked that question is because I would rather stay single than marry the wrong person. And I consider that more selective than, there are a lot of women that I never go out on coffee dates with. There's always seems to be some kind of, every once in a while, potential interests, but never a steady girlfriend or even a couple more than one or two coffee dates. It's
Not
that's
never. You've had girlfriends, you've had relationships. You know that there have been people in this room before who've never been in a relationship, truly. But you have been.
oh, I have in the
Yeah.
past, but
Yes.
it's been years since.
Right. This last girl was your most recent like attempt. And I remember, I thought you put in a good effort, for what it's worth. I want to reflect that to you. You were trying, you were pretty patient. You showed up, you talked to her, you said, you use the tools. It's just, you know, sometimes it's just not aligned.
Well, I will process on that is a brilliant question. What do I want to accomplish
Yeah.
by reaching out to her? I mean, that is probably the most profound question anyone's ever asked me in terms of the what do I want? What's going to happen if I do
Right.
that?
It's a good rubric to put like really to put all your behaviors through, because so often we people are reacting simply to triggers, right? But there's no
I,
point in saying what they're saying because it's not moving the conversation forward, right? It's not helping accomplish your goals. So, you can get swirled up in a fight, and the chemistry of that can be sometimes, I'm not saying you're doing this because I don't see you doing this, but sometimes that can be very attractive, but um you have to always consider, what do I want? What do I want to accomplish? And then that makes it easier to communicate, also to cut your losses and mitigate your vulnerability, your stress, your aggravation, because you're not going to get rid of all of that, because that's part of life. As long as we have happiness, we're going to have sadness. As long as we have strength, we're going to have vulnerability. I mean, again, that's the duality. But at least you won't compound to the grief, right? People always complain that relationships are so hard and they give me so much grief. Well, these tools do help mitigate some of that grief. And I know that you've already experienced that. So good, excellent work.
thank you. Thank you for letting me answer my question. It's good to see you all tonight. Thank you so much, Chloe.
You are so welcome, and thank you for sharing and for doing the work. I know it's not always easy. And that's part of, again, what I help people with is understanding that, you know, even change for the better is painful. And to not necessarily stop what they're trying to accomplish, stop doing the work just because it's painful, because that sets us up for, then you're set back. Then you're starting up at the beginning again, and then that sets you up for a repetitive cycle. So it's very important to understand whether or not the pain you're experiencing is the pain of change or the pain that change needs to take place. And that's, one thing that we work on a lot when in actually in module 2, but I teach this work a few times a year in smaller groups, and we get really deep, and I basically teach my books. So my second book is New Ways of Being the Pain of Change. I put the book link and I put the module links in the chat if you guys are interested in that. And then everything really can be found on my website as well. And probably also my IG. Okay. Okay, who's next? Again, you can comment on anything that's been said before. You can ask a question about or give me an update about what's happening. Um, Love, relationships, dating, communication, conflicts. And we will use that to illustrate this work and to gain a deeper understanding about it. Okay. I know sometimes it's hard to share in a room of strangers. However, sometimes it's easier in a way. Okay. Dominique.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Hello, everybody. It's my first time here.
How can I help you?
Yeah, first I just want to say I appreciate you so much for giving your expertise on this platform.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, really
Yeah.
like to do at least one event a week that is
Mm,
low cost or free so that everybody can kind of have an opportunity to get introduced to this work and understand it. So,
yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think I just have questions about how do I even phrase this? I I've worked nonstop for like the last decade and some change. Like didn't make any space really for any type of emotional intimacy of substantial amounts. And so now I find myself slowing down, having more of like an academia position. And so now I'm actively just being out there, exposing myself to uncomfortable situations, building community. And I'm realizing, and this is the part where it's the crux of the question. I'm realizing that I am attracting some interesting type of men slash people. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to not I'm Virgo, very introspective introvert. So I'm trying not to internalize it, but I'm also thinking like, is it something I'm giving off? It's because I've just been out of practice. So
Okay, so
yeah,
you're single, right? And you're
yes,
looking to be in you want to be in a relationship?
yes,
Okay. And now you finally feel like you're at a point in your career where you can take a break and explore this.
yeah,
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just saying from your profile picture, you look very attractive. So you're
thank you.
probably attracting a number of different types of people, but you may be selecting the people that you find familiar. And the problem
Mm,
with that is there's a psychological concept known as the repetition compulsion. And it basically means we are doomed to repeat that which we don't understand. And we will always reach for that which is familiar until we raise our awareness enough to understand that that doesn't serve us. So it sounds to me like you're kind of in the crux of that right now, that you're having interactions with men or women, choosing certain people that may be familiar, which brings a certain amount of comfort. And even if they don't look familiar on the surface, your subconscious will seek out those dynamics in a way that your conscious mind could never do it. So oftentimes I work with people and they're like, I really didn't mean to marry my dad, but I married my dad. You know,
Mm.
he seemed different, but it's actually the same dynamic. And so that's what you need to be aware of. Um, Again, the repetition compulsion, it brings us comfort, but ultimately doesn't bring us joy. So it doesn't bring you to your state of highest fulfillment. So when you say that you're attracting certain men, it's probably also true that you are choosing certain men or women that replicate a pattern that is pre-existing in your psyche. And especially if you're now at a point where you're seeing that, oh, that's not really what I want, or that's not really serving me, or that's not making me happy. Um, you're now at a point where you can make a change about that, which is exciting. And I want to also like give you kudos for, waking up to your emotional life and starting to pay attention to it. That in and of itself is going to be really exciting because women usually need to feel good to do good. And it sounds like
Mhm.
you've been in your career, which is normal, in a very, very much in a do good to feel good mode. So this is really doing this work and trying to put the feel good first is going to bring about a big change for you.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Totally, totally. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Okay. Well, did I answer your question about, where are you meeting people? What are you?
Oh. So I mean, it's actually pretty hilarious because I've just been so boggled down that even sitting at a park or going to like, outside gathering was such a scarce commodity. So now I have all this time, and so I'm actively just outside, just sitting on in the park with grass or hiking or going to like different lounges and all these jazz. And so that's where like, or I do the gym a lot. So that's kind of where I'm coming across them.
Mhm. Okay. Okay.
Um,
So if you want to be in your feminine energy, like
mhm.
I said, you're going to be putting your feelings first. You're also going to be on the receiving end, which means you're not going to speak first. You're going to let them initiate contact. You're going to let them know that it's safe to initiate contact by giving them eye contact and a smile for a sustained period. I recommend 5 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds. It's going to feel like a really long time, but that's the signal that they can approach. So when you see
Oh,
somebody that interests you, don't go up and start talking to them. Give them the
yeah.
5 seconds of eye contact and the smile and let them come to you. Because if you want to be feminine, you're not going to chase men. You're going to let them chase you.
Right. So is that this is a little side comment. Is that why I'm also noticing that like a lot of men nowadays don't really approach like that? Is because they don't feel safe enough to?
If you don't give if the men aren't getting the eye contact and smile, then really you're only going to get approached by drunks and nerds for the most part,
Oh.
and especially like, in the last 5 years, men have gotten a lot more hesitant to approach. So you do have to give them that signal. It's all about the eye contact. Flirting is all about the eye contact and the smile. Same time, eye contact and smile. We had one guy come in here who was doing just eye contact for 5 seconds and then smiling, and it was really creepy. So make sure make sure it's happening at the
That's
same
okay.
time.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Chloe.
You're welcome. Let me know how it goes. I look forward to your update.
For
I
sure,
really
for sure.
think that just knowing that simple fact and starting to center in your personal life your feelings is going to have a big difference.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any more questions? Or you guys, can ask questions about things that happened that we already discussed. And again, exploit me. This is my one free event a week, so please take advantage. And we all get to learn by your questions. And even if you think it's a stupid question, it's probably not. Most people, when they come to this group and they hear the questions, can usually identify with almost every question. So, okay. Okay, no more questions, no more updates. If everyone's good, I will wrap it up soon. Again, you guys can always find me. I try to put up content every day on Instagram. You can also reach out to me via my website if you want a private session. If you have a very quick question, I will absolutely do my best to answer it. If it's not something I can answer quickly, I'll let you know that as well. So you can reach out to me through my website, or you can reach out to me through Instagram. What else? I mentioned the books. Lee. Yes.
So I've been thinking about your question.
Okay.
What do I hope to accomplish if I were to reach out to my ex? And
Yes.
maybe this other people they can apply it to their own situation. I I I think I would like to know if she's changed, but primarily I guess I'm hoping maybe we can go meet for a cup of coffee or go for a walk or something.
Okay. So you
That's what I
want
would do.
you want to resuscitate contact with her and get back together.
If I were to reach out to her again,
Yeah.
it would be to, just say hi, see how she's doing, and maybe get together for coffee to just I guess see if we have a chance at all again to
Okay.
start.
So you've essentially, what you're saying is you've changed your mind and you want to try again.
I would if we got together and things were different, yes.
And things were different.
If
So you
things
have
were
no indication that things are going to be different.
no.
Right. So
So
I'm just saying
basically
it's
recommend
not
you
really
don't do
fair to
it.
her either, because it's kind of a clit tease. It's like, oh, here I am again. She was really pissed when you broke up with her. She was really pissed. If you reach out to her with the expectation that she's going to change, that quote, things will be different, it's kind of an FU. She's not giving you any indication that things are going to be different. She's not giving you any indication that things are going to change.
When you say she was pissed, I'm trying to remember and why
You
you
said
thought.
she was really mad when you broke up with her.
No, it was at first she wasn't, but then, she said, like, why are you still talking to me after this? She would be very short and just sort of, I don't want to use the word.
Okay.
But I mean, after,
Well, I just don't think it's fair to her to go back, First of
okay.
all, I don't think you're going to get what you want by reaching out. Just because you want things to be different doesn't mean they're going to be different.
Mhm.
There's no indication, nothing's changed. It's been 4 months. She's doing her thing, you're doing your thing. There's no reason to believe anything's changed. So there's that. Second thing is, I do think it will bring more aggravation, which is yours to pursue for sure. But I do think it will bring more aggravation because it will be confusing to her. Well, why is he reaching out to me again? He didn't like me. He didn't like the way that I was. You start initiating again, she starts getting back into it, start developing more feelings for you, and then you have your problem again. Then you have to wait 2 hours for her to get ready or whatever happens, and you're done again, right? Because you already went down this road.
Right,
Uh,
right.
And she's going to be even madder. She's going to even be more upset.
So
And then you'll have wasted more time.
you're saying that if she had changed.
You're saying
She
you want
she
to
would have,
reach out to see if things will be different. You want to reach out to be with her if things are different. If you reach out to be with her, I want you to do so understanding that things most likely will be pretty much the same. Again, it is so hard to change. You know this yourself. I know Raul knows this. He's been in here a while. Wendy knows this. You guys, have been coming long enough to know. It is so hard to change. And it's very obvious when somebody is working on it. So you don't need to worry that she's over here changing a bunch, but yet you never knew. Okay? There would be some sign if she were. So if you reach out to her and you want to be with her, then you're signing up again for the same person that she was 4 months ago. That's all. And I'm saying have a little more foresight and understand that maybe just because you're lonely and you miss her, that's still not enough of a reason, right? You want to be in your masculine anyway, so you got to respect your thoughts over cherishing your feelings. I understand you're lonely and you miss her. But because we've had the several conversations about it now, that it's going to be the same. So rationally, you just have to decide if you want to give it that other shot and do it again, knowing it's going to be the same. And then don't complain if it is.
because she would have reached out to me by now if she had changed, basically, is what you're saying.
Yes. And it's unusual that people change unless they are forced to or motivated to, which only really happens in the context of grief or wanting a relationship. When you were in the relationship, you said, yeah, there were some small improvements, but it wasn't really a fundamental change. It wasn't enough for you. You understand? Like, unless she's very unhappy, she's probably not going to change. And even if she is unhappy, she may not change. And that's on her. That's her work, and that's for her to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm sure I probably will not contact her. I just,
If you can't help yourself, you do it. Just know what you're going in for. That's all.
it's glutton for punishment if I go there, I guess.
It's a little of your pain addiction is showing.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, you can be addicted to pain just like you can be addicted to anything else. You can be addicted to the pain of a relationship simply because it brings you that comfort of familiarity.
Mhm.
I mean, from what
Well,
I've heard, I don't
didn't
think
like the
she's what you
thing.
want, but you know, again, I would still help you go get her if you told me that you did.
And another thing too, I'll close on is when my reason for calling it off after 2 months was, like I said, I was going for 2 weeks without, she lives 20 minutes away. It's not like
Right,
she's in
you were lonely. You were like, what the hell? I supposedly have a girlfriend.
and I'm taking her out. And when I do, I paid for everything. I was and we had a good time when we were together, in a lot of ways, but there was like, the dynamic. Point is, um, when I broke it off, it was because couldn't see her but once every 2 weeks. And she was having her own trauma in her life to deal with it, but she just wasn't as proactive as most people would probably be. And so she wasn't upset by that. It was, she agreed so that we should stop seeing each other. And I think that was the answer. That the
Yeah.
fact that a lot of times when a woman really has that burning desire for you, she's gonna, I mean, I wasn't testing her, but usually the response is, what do you mean you don't want to? What, usually there's some sort of effort. At that point, she wants the effort to want to work at it. It would just died. She just stopped.
Right. Well, I don't know if it's that she didn't want to, or, if you want, it's very tempting to personalize it and be like, oh, well, she just rejected me. She didn't like me enough. But it really sounds to me more like, and this is more common. I mean, we can always find things to fit in a negative script, right? To believe
Right.
the worst of ourselves. If we look for evidence, we can find that. But it really has more to do with her and what her capacity is. You guys, for a successful relationship, you need chemistry, communication, and compatibility. You had the chemistry, you were working on the communication, that was okay, but ultimately you weren't compatible because some people are okay seeing their partner every 2 weeks, and that's fine for them. Other
Yeah.
people want to do every day, all day, So you have to understand what it
I
is you
wanted
want.
once or twice a week is what I was hoping for.
Right. You wanted a couple times a week. It wasn't enough for you.
Yeah, she wasn't able to do more than that.
Right. It wasn't personal. It was about her. You already said she had a bunch of mental problems.
She had a condition. She
Right.
did had medications and conditions and things. And so, I mean, I
You
think
guys
help.
just weren't compatible.
I just needed to process that, I guess. Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
you've hit the nail on the head. Thank you.
Um, okay. You're welcome, Dominique. Oh, she left. Okay. Chloe, can you say what causes people to change? Yes. Okay. So pain, grief, often it's somebody dying, losing somebody in a relationship, heartbreak, um, hitting bottom. Whatever it is that causes you to hit bottom, that's when the silver lining of hitting bottom is that's when you're most open to change. That's when you really have a chance to change. So otherwise, if people don't hit bottom, they usually don't change. Okay, does that make, okay, got it. Thanks. Okay, excellent. Okay, anybody last thoughts before I close it out, or last questions? If not, again, you can always reach out to me during the week. They're the books. The first book, How to Live, Find Love, and Keep It. That's the basics of this work. I already mentioned the second book, New Ways of Being, The Pain of Change. That's kind of the guidebook once you get on the road. My third book is Secrets to a Good Marriage, What is Love? And then my fourth book is Daddy Issues, Mommy Issues. There's a lot in that book. That one is my most recent. Just about a lot of the issues, especially for women, that you face when you go to enter into your adult romantic relationships, because we see our issues manifest in our relationships first. Okay. In the intimate relationships, that's usually where we see any kind of unresolved trauma or psychological issues, is right there. So that's a kind of an examination of that. And again, I teach this in small groups when my sign up fills up. So if you want to get into that, you can sign up there. This recording will be available on YouTube as well as wherever you get your podcasts. And if I don't hear from you before next week, I will see you back here again, same time, same place. You're welcome.